audio.
Alright, what is up guys? It is me, Monster58, and welcome back to another video. If you follow my social media, I'm glad to finally be back after almost 2 weeks of being sick, so that's really good. If you don't follow my socials, links in the description. But enough about my personal life. Today our video is going to be a very different one compared to the ones that I do on the channel. It's going to be a more commentary style video today. Basically to prove to you guys, like truly, that I am an actual real deep car enthusiast. Today we're going to be detailing my experience at this year's SEMA show as well as SEMA Fest. I'll be showing notable pictures and videos, as well as talking about my experience as a whole from the moment I got to Vegas. For those unfamiliar with SEMA, even though I feel that most of you who clicked on the video understand to some extent what the show is, let me quickly explain. The annual SEMA show is one of, if not the world's largest automotive trade show that's held in Las Vegas, Nevada every year, right around at the end of October into the first week of November. Pretty much everyone is here to show off the culmination of their work within the past year, from manufacturers to third-party companies that like make wheels, tire suspension, tools, detailing products, sound systems, paint protection film, you name it. In addition to a lot of the YouTubers that you watch for automotive content, they probably have it at SEMA somewhere. So a major question you guys may have who do know a bit about the show is, hey, how did you get into the actual SEMA show? I thought only people who worked in the industry could attend the show. That is definitely true, and part of the reason I went was to talk to those people. However, the festival held after SEMA, SEMA Fest, offered different ticket packages. SEMA Fest is meant to be an automotive music festival, like held after the main SEMA show ends. Now I don't know if they just started it this year or if it started like a couple years ago or something like, or a year or two ago, after the pandemic ended up blowing over. But, well, I wouldn't necessarily call blowing over, but that's another topic in and of itself. Basically, it allows people who didn't attend the SEMA show a small taste of SEMA itself. One of the ticket packages they offered SEMA Fest, by SEMA Fest, not only allowed you to attend all of the general admission stuff from SEMA Fest, but also allowed you to attend the last day of the SEMA show itself, so that's the ticket option I got. And so with that out of the way, let's get into my absolutely amazing experience. I'm just going to even spoil it at this point, but yeah. Alright, beginning off with day one. So arriving in Las Vegas was pretty straightforward, so spoiler alert, I don't live there, so I had to fly in. You're immediately greeted with slots and other gambling machines, which is like so Vegas, and it got me to almost like genuinely laugh out loud, because I was like, slots, what a surprise. Got my bags, took an Uber to my hotel. I got a hotel at the Sahara, where I was greeted with some crazy cars already present at the hotel and casino. And I'm actually going to show a picture. I saw a C8 Corvette next to this absolutely crazy car. I'll throw the name up again on screen once I research it. Off the top of my head, I cannot remember what this thing is called, but it's wild. I already understand at this point, like looking at these cars, that this is literally just the result of SEMA being in town. And was really fortunate. I actually ran into a few guys who were coming back from the SEMA show who showed me pictures of that Cummins diesel swapped Lamborghini Gallardo that was making the rounds on social media, which was awesome. They showed me some pictures. We talked for a few minutes and then we were on our separate ways. The rest of my day was mostly spent like getting settled in and exploring a bit of what I could of Vegas. I was pretty tired from traveling, but I ended up going to Caesar's Palace, specifically to go to Hell's Kitchen, and you'll probably see some pictures / video now. I do like myself a bit of Gordon Ramsay. At Caesar's Palace, I ended up seeing a ruby stone red GT3 parked in the garage. It's the first time I've ever seen that color in person. It's actually kind of similar to the background of my channel banner, if you actually look pretty closely, but it's gorgeous. That car was gorgeous. I loved it. And again, first time I've seen that color, and it's so pretty. Went on to find Hell's Kitchen, and overall Caesar's Palace was a gorgeous experience. And the Hell's Kitchen itself was immaculate. Service and food were impeccable, and definitely was an homage to what we all know, you know, on that actual show. They even had all of the the Hell's Kitchen winners on like a wall, like that framed as soon as you walk right in. Overall, great experience, but since I knew I was in for a very long day tomorrow as I flew in on the Thursday, this is still Thursday, I ended up walking around for a bit, Ubered back to my hotel, and turned in for the night. Moving on, we have day 2, the actual SEMA show day. Now, quick disclaimer, I apologize if my memory is a bit fuzzy. It's been 2 weeks since my trip, and I initially wanted to make this video as soon as I got back, so that my memory from the show was fresh, but I ended up getting sick twice as soon as I arrived home, and only recently, like within the past couple days, for the most part, have recovered. I still run out of energy pretty easily, so today, as I'm recording this will probably be the only thing I do is actually record, because believe it or not, recording actually takes a lot more energy than I actually thought it would ever. So just wanted a disclaimer, because I apologize if there's things I can't remember or I don't mention, because again, my memory is a bit fuzzy. But to start, I had an early start to day 2 because I wanted to be there early for merchandise, as well as getting my Friday experience pass before it got too crowded. So I got an Uber, got to the Las Vegas Convention Center, and was greeted with some gorgeous stuff before even going inside. I think off the top of my head, there's this gorgeous, like, midnight purple C8 Corvette that was wide-bodied, lowered, and had new rims and everything. Dude, it was murdered out. Ton of other cars there. They were absolutely gorgeous, and I was just happy to be able to see a bunch of stuff that, especially where I live here, doesn't exist. Like, I live in a very small town, and car scenes like this don't exist. Like, it just does not exist around here, and so it was, like, sort of emotionally cathartic, as you'll see me talk about towards the end of the video. It's just really, really amazing to see. Now, like I mentioned, my memory is fuzzy, but I'll make a few notable points. So first off, the convention center itself is massive. I'll throw a picture of the entire map on screen right now. It's 4 separate wings or halls: north, central, south, and west. If you plan to come, definitely bring some walking shoes, some good socks, maybe like a few refreshments, like a couple drinks, like a bottle of water, some snacks, as well as a portable phone charger, especially if you, just like me, are taking lots of pictures and videos. I had a full 8 hours at the show. Just to understand, like, I only had the Friday to see the show, so obviously I wanted to see as much as I could, and I still wasn't able to see everything and meet everybody. Each hall is also dedicated to some, like, particular part of the industry. So I believe West Hall was mainly for, like, detailing, and there was a few, like, off-roading companies there as well. One of the companies I actually know very well was AEV, and that was really cool to see. I actually talked to a representative. That guy was pretty cool. North, I believe, was a lot of tires and wheels, and Central and South, I can't necessarily recall off the top of my head. But I also made the dumb mistake of not wearing my best shoes, so by hour 6 I was, like, physically dying, even though, like, my heart and my soul wanted to keep going. But it was amazing. In addition to that, when it comes to the way that the sort of booths, I guess, for each of the companies are split up, is there is a pocket guide for it as well. You get this big booklet, but in addition to that, basically, the size of the convention center, as you're probably seeing on screen right now, it's like the size of, like, an airport, like, airline hangar, like a airplane hangar. It's really, really tall, and so from the tops of the ceiling, they've hung these signs that essentially mark each booth in thousands, and I believe it went all the way up to, like, 60, 80,000, somewhere around, like, between that amount. So a lot of companies, a lot of people from many different countries, from many different parts of the world. Now, for the convention center itself, as I said, they're big, but there are some cool, like, Tesla taxis that are free, that take you from the West Hall or any of the other halls to any of the other aforementioned halls. But those only get you between the halls, since they're pretty far from one another. But it's cool because they go through, like, these tunnel systems that I didn't realize. Like, I think I've seen them before, but being there was really cool. They're all neon lit, and then they're all very well interconnected with the convention center itself, because it's just such a big place. It's literally like 4 football field sized buildings. Like, they're absolutely massive buildings. But really, really cool that they offered that, so that was awesome. Number 2, talk to people at the stands, and you also might get to converse with, like, other attendees. Everyone is there for one thing, and that's cars. Everyone's passion pretty much there is cars. So you'll more than likely be able to meet people and have great conversations. Also, since many of these people are here to promote their businesses, most people are more than likely, you know, happy to converse with you. Get connections, network. That's my primary reason for going there. As you guys know, I really want to work in this industry and be a part of something great. It's a lot of fun to talk about the cars with people. Be humble in what you say and don't be afraid to admit you don't know much about something. I know a lot about cars myself, and I'm sure that you guys can hear that too. I know my fair bit about cars, but my knowledge at the end of the day is actually extremely limited compared to pretty much everyone else at the show. You know, they have a lot more experience working with this stuff, and you know, that's what I want to be a part of, but I'm always willing to learn. Number 3, watch out for others filming and taking pictures of the cars. Understand that this is a massive event. Like, just the amount of booths alone should tell you how many people are there. So media coverage is also massive. So just be aware of those around you and what you're doing, but at the same time, take your time in taking pictures and filming. Everybody's literally doing the same thing. I know one mistake I made was not getting like a mobile phone arm, because I don't have like an expensive camera, so everything that I've been filming is on my phone, which you guys can probably tell. But at the same time, it's like you can do things to stabilize your shots. Again, making the mistake of not getting a phone stabilizer really sucks, but what are you gonna do? I did my best, and so yeah, that's about it with that. Last major point, number 4, enjoy the cars. This is the first time I've been able to see a lot of the cars. Like I mentioned, it's really eye-opening to see them because, especially as a car enthusiast, you're just kind of like, ooh, they look really cool online, and a lot of these cameras just don't do these cars justice. I only have a few regrets. I believe Gas Monkey Garage had that center drive electric Testarossa that they converted. I never got to see that. I missed Jay Leno by like a day, which, I'm still so annoyed about that. I missed him by like a day. But I could only attend the Thursday, so what are you going to do? But yeah, there was a lot of people there, a lot of cool stuff. And again, just enjoy the cars. That's what a lot of people are here for. Enjoy them. Train them in. Take a look at them. But also just don't touch unless you have permission. That's the other thing. Overall, day 2 was just as I described in these points. I got to walk around these massive halls, talk to people at the stands. I gave my business card out and see some amazing vehicles, like absolutely amazing. So for a bunch to note, TJ Hunt's M4, like GT3, essentially his LMS car that he put on like jacks. Like if you look at like the Super Trofeo Lamborghini Huracans, you'll notice that they have like built-in jacks. A perfect example is look at DDE's Super Trofeo. It has those jacks on them. The R34, as well as the Supra from Fast and the Furious, Paul Walker's orange Supra, as well as his silver R34, the silver and blue one from Too Fast, Too Furious. I don't remember what stands those were at in particular, but it was cool to see them in person, period, because that's the first time I've ever seen both the Supra and an R34 in person. Got to see Alex Choi's 720LM. That build is clean and it's gorgeous. DDE Super Trofeo race car, a Bowden Auto House. They brought out that gorgeous like blue CGT. Really, really pretty. Some of the Hamilton collection cars, like that red 918 and the Wyra, as well as Stradman's full carbon Aventador that he partnered with Flexi Shield for. And Tavarsh's P1 that he was rebuilding. That thing was insane. It literally had no interior besides the literally the pillars and like the molds where the seats would go, and then a little bit of the dashboard, and there was nothing else in that interior. But it was really insane to see a P1 essentially ripped apart. And obviously I saw a lot of other stuff, and in fact, cue the music.
In audio. Already won. Never be defeated.
besides all the actual amazing cars, obviously, you know, you guys just saw a bunch of them that I just saw. I got to meet Alex Quintani. So for those of you who don't know, Alex Quintani is the creator and founder of Quintani. They make crazy exhausts for cars. There was actually a guy local to me that lives a couple hours away, but when I went to a Cars and Coffee that was near my hometown, he ended up bringing his SVJ that I believe had a Aventador SVJ that had a Quintani exhaust on it, and let me tell you, that thing was freaking insane. But Alex Quintani himself, got to meet him. Super awesome dude. Really, really nice. He was gracious enough to take a picture with me. Few minutes conversation, took my business card. What an absolutely amazing guy. If you haven't seen Quintani, I'll leave a link in the description to his YouTube channel. Alex Quintani and his business Quintani, the guys over there, they know exactly what they're doing. If you're looking for an insane supercar exhaust, go to Alex Quintani. For the end of day 2, however, I could have went to SEMA Fest, which part of me regrets it because as I will explain when it comes to SEMA Fest, the Hoonigans have their own like little set there, and they did this whole like 30 car burnout. I believe it was close to 43, obviously, in honor of Ken Block and, you know, his unfortunate passing. KB43 forever, right? I missed that, but unfortunate that we missed that, but what are you gonna do? But after the show ended, I actually was still in the building during like their teardown phase. Like they made an announcement, oh, the SEMA show's officially over. Thank you everyone for attending and showing off your stuff. We'll see you next year. Please, all attendees, find your ways to the closest exits. And so I was walking around trying to find the exit because, again, this place is like a maze. Again, massive place. And I was exhausted at that point. I'm literally dying, like physically. But think about it like this. It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. It's essentially a car show, right? So what needs to go? The cars. And, well, how do you guys think that the cars got in? By driving them. So guess how they're supposed to get out? You guessed it, by driving them out. It was a roar, and I mean a roar of engines, and it caused one of the craziest traffic jams I've ever seen. Like, the Sahara from the convention center is like 10 minutes away, 15 minutes, maybe 20 when it's really bad traffic. It took me like 30-40 minutes to get from the convention center where I was to the hotel just to settle back down because of how much traffic there was because of all the cars that were coming out onto the actual road from the SEMA show itself. Actually, funnily enough, I did see Stradman quickly pass by me in my Uber when I was heading back. Unfortunately, obviously, couldn't say hi, but I saw his full carbon Aventador pass by. A few other notable people pass by. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. One of the guys at Bowden Auto House, I forget his freaking name. That guy also passed me in the CGT, so really cool stuff. Absolutely amazing. And after I got back to my room, I was exhausted. Like I said, I mentioned, I actually walked almost 24,000 steps at that point, and so I just grabbed some dinner and I chilled out for a bit. But then I decided last minute to attend a car meet instead of going to SEMA Fest. Essentially, for those of you who don't know, this is the love child of Edmund Mondi and Houston Krausta, who Houston owns Royalty Exotic Cars, and I believe Edmund owns AGX. And essentially, when it comes to them, they made and created a hot chicken restaurant chain called Houston's Hot Chicken, or Houston, Texas Hot Chicken, named after Houston, in partnership with, partnered with Houston. Edmund ended up making the recipe. I believe he told his story about how it was like a family thing from his heritage. And so the one on Sahara, their location on Sahara, was hosting a car meet, and so I decided to go there. And a ton of cars were there from SEMA, and in addition, Alex Choi and his 720 LM was there, and I actually got to meet him. He's a super cool dude, very sort of a little antisocial, but I understand why. He's got a lot of fans, and so I quickly told him, I respect your build, because I really do. His build is amazing, I think. And he said, thank you so much. We shook hands, took a picture with me, and he was back out doing Alex Choi stuff. At the meet, too, there's this girl, her name is Lexi S550. She ended up bringing her crazy, pink, rhinestone Mustang, essentially, with these drag radials on it, and then her exhaust, she literally blew like a flamethrower. You guys can look at Houston's Hot Chicken, and I think their their social media if you guys want to take a look at that. It's absolutely crazy, and I was literally like 2 feet away from that, inside trying to get food, and then all of a sudden I look behind me, there's a flamethrower from a Mustang. So absolutely nuts. But because I was so tired, stayed for a bit, ended up going back before the meet, ended up finishing off. But yeah, it was a lot of fun that night. Now, day 3 consisted of me going to SEMA Fest. Now, I'll say SEMA Fest as a whole was a bit underwhelming. Now, hear me out. I'm not saying it was bad by any stretch of the imagination. There just wasn't an insane amount of people, and I kind of felt it was a little lifeless at some points. But I wasn't also there for Friday night, which I do know that there were a good amount of people there. I know TJ Hunt went, and I assume there was a lot more people there. But again, I wasn't there to see that crazy 43 car burnout. But like I said earlier, both the Hoonigans as well as actually Formula Drift were doing shows, and that's where a majority of the people stayed. The part that really just kind of bothered me is that the whole point of the show is to give people who didn't attend SEMA, the actual show, a taste of what SEMA's like, but they didn't really have any cars on display. Sure, they did have a good amount of cool cars on display as you walked in, but there was literally no cars on display when you were actually inside. Now, I don't know if that was a hazard, but they did have a few cars on display, but it wasn't like a wide array. And the other thing that bothered me is that there was this huge open areas like that were empty, and I was like, just put a ton of cars here. It would be great for people to just be able to walk up to them and take a look. But I guess it was, hard for people to get maybe the people who wanted to do that in the first place. Maybe they were worried about people spilling stuff or spilling drinks or whatever. I get that sentiment, but it just kind of felt a little lifeless. I'm not trying to say it was bad, but again, just kind of felt a little lifeless. However, they were well stocked for supplies. They had drinks, food, merchandise. It was all there. Now, it was still an insane experience. I spent most of my time at the Hoonigan Burnyard that they had set up, as well as Formula Drift for a little bit, but primarily at the Hoonigan Burnyard. I was very happy to see the Hoonicorn in person. Absolutely crazy car, obviously the love child of both Leah as well as Ken, and that car holds a lot of meaning to the Hoonigans as a whole. It's an insane vehicle, absolutely crazy. Those top mounted turbos are bonkers. I even got a picture with it here. Again, I'm not showing my face, but you guys can see that that's me with the Hoonicorn itself, so really cool stuff. After this, I ended up watching the next few shows they had lined up. They did their classic Hoonigan shenanigans. They had a ton of cars doing crazy burnouts. They had a CTS. I know Hart came out and did some stuff. I also remember seeing a K-truck, one of those like old single cab like Ford small pickup trucks, like the really small ones. And they had a bunch of other cars too. They even had like this obstacle course that they had set up essentially that was timed. I know Travis Pastrana was there the previous night, which again, I'm really sad I missed him, as well as being able to see the Hoonicorn in action, because sadly on this day too, the day I went, I wasn't able to actually see the Hoonicorn in action because I had an early flight the next morning and I needed to still pack when I got back, so I ended up calling it an early night. But after the last show that I saw from the Hoonigans, I ended up getting to meet them and talk to them. And oh, by the way, I did get hit with like tire. One of the cars that was doing a K-rail burnout ended up ripping off tire and slammed me right in the arm. I was pretty close to the front, but I got to meet all of the Hoonigans that were there. Pretty much all super nice people. They had a guest too who was helping out, like co-host with Zach essentially, Georgia, and she was super cool. She also does a ton of car stuff. I got to meet Gary, Hart, and Zach. Absolutely nice people and a pleasure to be around. Very cool to talk to. They stayed and were just talking to fans and taking pictures with them, and so I have nothing but respect for what they do, and I have nothing but more respect for them now, being the types of people that they are. So KB43 forever. It was sort of a cherry on top ending to my trip, and I headed back to my room, packed up for the night, and headed off to bed. It was an absolutely amazing day, though. Gary himself even took my business card. Like, I can't even, like, dude, that was so amazing. But overall, SEMA was a great experience, and so was SEMA Fest. Even though SEMA Fest was a bit underwhelming, I should have probably gone the night previous, and I would have had an even better time. But yeah, you guys get what I'm saying. If you're a car nut of any kind, you really need to go attend SEMA. It's a necessity in my opinion. Just be prepared with supplies and whatnot, walking shoes, all that stuff, and you'll have a fantastic time. Remember to just meet the people, talk to them, and enjoy the cars. As Fast and Furious said, when Tyrese said it at the end of one of the movies, I forget exactly which one, he said, Lord of all, thank you for fast cars. So, yeah, that's really all I have to say. An absolutely fantastic experience. First time going to SEMA as a complete random. So, thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. Please like, comment, rate, and subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Also, follow me on the socials, linked in the description below. And with that, guys, thank you again so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Peace.